welcome to Plus Speakers. I'm Kush,
And I'm Alex.
and today we're going to be discussing musical conspiracy theories that Alex just happened to find a whole bunch and just going to talk, and we're going to talk about them.
Yeah, I just found this one article and we're going to react to it. It's just like 2 years old and it's a bit dated, but some of these are like timeless musical conspiracies that even I've heard of, but some of these are really, really far-fetched to me. And we've come up with some of our own musical conspiracy theories for some reason, like
Piano ballads.
why do artists end albums with piano ballads, like when it's never a prominent or used instrument on any other part of the album? Why does this happen? It's not a big one, but like, why does that happen? But obviously that's one we made up. So
let's listen.
shall we go through the list?
You go for it.
The first one is Jay-Z is in the Illuminati.
Yeah, I've heard that one a lot. I've heard that one with like
Okay,
Jay-Z, Beyonce, Chris Brown. They're all in the Illuminati somehow.
Well, it says here like Rihanna, Kesha, and Lana Del Rey are as well. Just list random people. It's so dated. It was when David Bowie was still alive, so they list him here too. Conspiracy theorists believe that Jay-Z is a member of a secret society called the Illuminati. The proof is that the rapper's diamond cutter hand symbol that he uses like at live, or quite a lot, is like the same as like the logo of the Illuminati, and that's of the all-seeing eye. I mean,
that's how the dollar bill
don't even
for the US dollar bill.
I know. I mean, I'm subscribed to a channel. I was subscribed to it years ago. There's like just anything is part of the Illuminati.
Yeah,
So,
I don't buy that one.
Not in any way.
Well, I don't even think the Illuminati are an actual organization. I just think it's something that people made up to explain certain behaviors and things. Because they don't want to.
I guess.
They don't want to believe that the government is doing it. They want to think that some evil group is running the government and overruling things. So, I don't buy into it. I don't think if anyone, Jay-Z or Kesha or Lana Del Rey are gonna be some of the most irrelevant musical artists are gonna be in there.
Oh, Lana Del Rey is not irrelevant to me. She released a new single. I'm gonna listen to it later. Woohoo! Okay, Michael Jackson's death was planned to cover up an Iranian revolution.
Iranian revolution.
Iranian.
Yeah.
Some people believe that Michael Jackson's accidental drug overdose was not an accident at all, but the Iranian government's well-orchestrated attempt to divert Western media from a revolution that they did in June 2009. It's disputed, and because some guys probably still the president of Iran, got re-elected president. So there was like no news on this when it happened. So I think this is like more of a coincidence kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I know that the doctor who prescribed Michael Jackson his medication was actually charged with third-degree murder, maybe? I don't remember what it was.
Well, I mean, since this article came out, Prince has died from prescription meds as well. And I've read somewhere that more people die from those than actual drugs in the US. Like, more people are found dead from causes of that than,
yeah, for sure,
I don't know, cocaine or definitely marijuana. Very few deaths or just caused by it. So, I mean, I don't know the backstory behind that doctor, but this feels like a coincidence to me. What do you think?
I think it's a coincidence.
Probably a happy one for Iran. I don't know what dodgy business they were up to, but it enabled. I don't know what anyone would have done about whatever was going on in Iran. I don't know why we're suddenly getting political here.
Yeah.
But I think if something was truly going on that people felt like they needed to do something about, I don't think the death even of Michael Jackson would have changed that.
I think Michael Jackson's cardiologist Conrad Murray was actually convicted for 4 years in jail for the overdose.
So he'll be out by now. Then,
Oh yeah, he got out in 2013 for good behavior.
Oh, good behavior, not killing people in jail. So, the third one I actually do know a bit about, so I'm not going to read the article. Official content, busted speakers content here. The CIA murdered John Lennon. Now, I've heard this was, the CIA, like, there is proof, there are official documents that they were spying on John Lennon in the early 70s because he was, like, this big pop guy who suddenly became so political and, you know, damning Vietnam, damning so much stuff the government was doing that Richard Nixon wanted him deported, and that and it says here that Chapman was recruited by the CIA to kill him because he was like anti-American and he was against like most of the stuff of the government. I mean, this is a thing where like it could be true, but it doesn't really matter, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I think it does matter to the point where like, so it's kind of like the did CIA kill John F. Kennedy sort of thing, but
oh yeah, but
I mean, they probably did, they probably had some sort of influence on it because this John F. Kennedy was going to shut down the CIA, but with John Lennon, I don't know. Because he definitely had a big political voice, but I don't think that it was big enough to actually cause problems. And people didn't like Vietnam War because of the draft system. There's many problems with it. I don't think John Lennon was the reason that they didn't like him. There is a possibility they for sure. I know they tapped in on his messages and like spied on him, but I don't know if they killed him. That's a good one.
Well, I don't want to name his killer because I don't want to give him any level of more knownness because he's already known for doing a terrible act. But I did read into a little bit of him because I'm such a big John Lennon fan, or inadvertently in a book actually. I didn't choose to. And you know, he was like the biggest Beatles fan ever, and he was really messed up in the head. So I don't think it would take CIA intervention for him to do something as terrible as he did.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think the CIA is responsible for the death. Maybe just for spying and stuff like that, but that's different.
So the fourth one is Kris Kristofferson is part of a lizard species underground of people who are actually lizards. I mean,
I think that's plausible.
This
that's
is definitely
plausible.
true.
That's plausible.
Reptilian called the Babylonian Brotherhood. This is true. They are from the constellation Draco, and they have the ability to shapeshift into human form and control all of humanity. Well, most people haven't even heard of Kris Kristofferson, so he's not doing a good job of controlling humanity if he's not known to most people.
Well, why do people think he's a lizard?
Some guy wrote a book in 1999 detailing why he thinks that people are, but it doesn't say here. And this is like saying people who are really old who haven't died and are like really successful and influential, like he's really old, and Pope Francis, Queen Elizabeth II, Barack Obama, George W. Bush. So where's Trump here then? I know the article's dated, but is he one? I just hate stupid stuff like this that has no like basis.
Yeah, I don't see I don't see any sort of evidence online of Kris Kristofferson being.
At least there's like some level of basis to the other ones, like even the Illuminati. You know, you could at least discuss it.
There's some.
But this is not even. Okay, the fifth one is I don't even know what this is. Andrew WK is not the real Andrew WK. There's a lot of stories about musicians being clones, like Eminem is a clone, or Beyonce. Like, because Eminem's music isn't as good as it was before he went away for 5 years. I don't get stuff like this. People change.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on your list, but there's also was it Paul McCartney's clone?
Yeah, that's on here. That's on here.
Okay, we'll wait for that one. But yeah, I don't believe it. It's interesting.
Well, people are saying here he's not the same because he grew a beard and.
Oh my god! Anyone can grow. I'm growing a beard right now.
He acts differently. I mean, I don't know why this is like the fifth one. It's like the worst one.
So because I'm growing a beard, I'm not the same person I was. Watch
People
out.
think he looks different from the person on the cover of I Get Wet, I think.
People look different. What are you gonna do? They change. They get fat. They get skinny. What are you gonna do?
Okay, the sixth one is so dated and so bad that I don't even want to say it, but I will say it. Beyonce was never pregnant. As we speak, she's pregnant with twins, and she clearly has a child who's now 5, and people saying she staged the baby bump and adopted. No, not true.
I'm gonna put in the video. I'm gonna put a picture, but there's a picture where she's pregnant and she sits down and the baby bump goes almost to her breasts. And
Well, the one now.
no, the one from back then.
Oh right, yeah. So
And so that's the
unless
picture
she's really fat.
that's the picture that started the whole she's not pregnant thing. I'll put it in the video, but I've heard of celebrities doing this before. Don't know if Beyonce's the one to do it. The baby certainly looks like her, so I don't know if that's saying much.
Yeah, Blue Ivy does indeed. So
There's a YouTube channel online I watch called ETC Show, and they're convinced that Beyonce's faking the whole thing. So that's kind of entertaining.
Okay, this is the last one I've not heard of, and according to conspiracy theorists, Gangsta Rap was invented to fill prisons. Now, Gangsta Rap is a naturally formed genre that came from the light hip-hop of the 80s from people like NWA, bands like that. It was created by people who have real problems, and they're saying it was created to fill prisons. I just don't know what to think of this. I mean, it was like the goal allegedly was to promote selling drugs and street violence through music to fill privately owned corporate prisons. I mean, the problem with this is it could be true on some level. I don't want it to be true. I don't want to think it's true, but there could be people who tried to make this happen. I don't think it's a big problem. I don't think it happened on the scale they wanted it to, as far as I know, but there could have been people who had this conversation. I do not want to meet these people because they sound like some of the worst ever, but, you know, I don't know.
No, so I've heard about this one. So the theory behind it was that the government created it to put spotlight on people who had those ill intentions and get them locked up. But what ended up happening was because it got so popular, because it was so just so widespread, that people who didn't have ill intentions were just doing gangster rap singing and creating gangster rap music, but didn't actually have any of those experiences that like actual gangsters or criminals had. Now, do I think the government did it? No, I don't think the government did. I think it happened because there were people who felt disenfranchised and they wanted to create music that they wanted to create an escape, and that's what came out of it. Do I think the government?
Number 8. All right.
Do I think the government could have done it? Sure, why not? The government's a bunch of assholes, anyways.
There goes our private funding.
Funded by Obama.
So, 8, Dark Side of the Rainbow. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
Oh, great. It's just people think Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon perfectly syncs up with the Wizard of Oz film. I've not actually tried this, but I've read a lot about it, and apparently it specifically syncs up with it. But the problem is, the Wizard of Oz is like 112 minutes. Darkside Moon is 43. You'd have to play it like 2.5 times. So, the album... I mean... If it does, it's a coincidence. There's no way Pink Floyd made it as an unofficial soundtrack. I actually read about it. Pink Floyd took 2 years to make this album. They made like 2 albums.
Like 1908 or some shit like that. It was like an old movie.
Oh, it's like really early. No, it won't be that early because it's, I think, like 1940 maybe. I think that's when it came out. Because it was a talking film. I don't think there were any talking films in 1908. Because there was like silent cinema age.
And when did Dark Side of the Moon come out? Like 70s?
73.
Yeah, so that doesn't make any sense. There you go.
I know.
We debunked it.
Yeah, well, even here it says Alan Parsons, Pink Floyd's audio engineer, says that's not true. So it's not true. So it's not true.
Good job, Alex. We debunked the
Okay, the next one is... we're great. Detective soon. Elvis is alive, number 9. Oh, God. They're really pushing these. Many people believe Elvis is still alive. The thing with this is, I never got like what the problem was, because he was like a recluse in his last few years.
Yeah,
Anyway, he wasn't performing live very much. I know, but I mean, if he faked his death, there's like no point, because he can live a private life anyway. Like, there's no point. It's not as if he is like, I don't know, the Queen or something, where he is publicly obliged to have to go out. He doesn't have to. I don't think. At least at that point. I know he did in the early 60s. He was like under contract to appear in a certain amount of films every year. I think 2. Oh my God, Elvis. And imagine doing that though. I mean, actors do, but he was making music as well. So,
I mean, isn't Tupac still alive and Jim Morrison are all alive?
Yeah, it says that. Yeah, they're all still alive. They're all still out there.
A celebrity
Death
has never
real.
died. Kurt Cobain's probably still alive too.
Yeah, I mean, they all say
that. It doesn't make sense.
It's like weird choices. It's always like the most famous ones. The one where this could be true is Richie Edwards, who is the rhythm guitarist of Manic Street Preachers. He went missing 22 years ago. So they were Manic Street Preachers, if you've heard of them, were barely even on the commercial scene. They were an underground band, and then he went missing, and like no one's ever found him. There's been no evidence that he's actually dead, and people have purportedly seen him like really far away abroad. He was like officially declared dead in 2008, but based on nothing, just the lapse of time, and it would be unlikely that no one's seen him in the social media age. But that he probably is dead, but like there's no evidence of it. There is evidence of the other ones. There's like photos and funerals and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't buy into those. The Tupac not being dead and all those guys.
So going from people who are dead who are alive, we'll go to people who are alive who are actually dead. Paul McCartney is dead.
That's my favorite conspiracy theory. So earlier this year, I had a class called Political Philosophy where my professor was a huge Beatles fan. Huge as in like his room was full of Beatles like memorabilia and posters and stuff like that. And
yeah.
I come home and he sends out an email saying everyone should read this article, and it's about 7 reasons why Paul McCartney is not really Paul McCartney and is like replaced by some random guy. And 3 of those 7 evidence pieces were, if you play this song backwards, it sounds like he's saying, "Oh no, Paul McCartney's dead." Like, is that substantial evidence? Because that's like confirmation bias. If you want to hear it, you will hear it.
That's true. Also, I don't get why people are playing records backwards anyway. There's enough albums out there. You don't have to be. I know that was like a thing people did on vinyl because it was an option, but really, playing records backwards, they were not meant to be like that. I don't know. I mean, that's like a level of editing that I don't think like George Martin and the Beatles were prepared to do, even at their most experimental stage. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I think there's a documentary. Have you seen the movie The Shining?
Yeah.
So there's a documentary about that where like they like what did who directed that? Alfred Hitchcock? No.
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick, yeah. What did he really mean by this movie? And people would analyze it, and they made a documentary on about all this analysis. It was like an hour and a half of just a shit show. He's like, if you turn the opacity of this at 50%, and then you layer it with this clip of the movie, they line up perfectly. Well, no duh. If you have 2 things in the center of the screen, they will line up perfectly if you overlap with each other. That makes sense, doesn't it? Like, that's just logical. That's not like something unique. But yeah.
Imagine if our reviews were like that, where we're just like, if you pretend this song isn't this song, it's actually good. I mean, Also, here's the thing about this that I've always thought about the Paul McCartney is dead. Okay, so if you believe it, he died in 1966 in the car crash. I prefer the guy who replaced him to whoever the original one was. I do. All of his solo music and the music he made in 66 to 70 is the best Beatles songs he contributed, because I do think John Lennon was more of a prominent one slightly in the early Beatles, and then he became the slightly more prominent one in the late Beatles. That means that the guy who replaced him, let's call him Fake Paul, I like him more. Some of his solo music is some of the best pop albums I've ever heard, like Ram, Band on the Run, Tug of War, Flamin' Pie, Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. Great pop albums. This guy, I mean, if it is a fake, then you can remove the stigma of it being solo Beatles and just make it a guy. It's one of the best careers in music ever.
Yeah, I never understood that one. I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious that people are actually convinced that Paul McCartney's a fake.
That's true. Then Ringo is the last surviving Beatle. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well done, Ringo. Anyway, the reasons for it are really bad. Like, he's barefoot on Abbey Road. I mean, if he really died and you were trying to cover it up, I mean, why would you leave clues in the music?
No.
Like, do you want?
My question is, what does that have to do with anything? Why does him being barefoot have anything to do with his death?
Oh, because he's like, well, people say like John Lennon's the Baptist, Ringo is like the coffin holder, and George is like the grave digger. It's really stupid because of like the clothes they're wearing. I don't even know.
Why?
Because like George was wearing some kind of really like gardener type clothes, and John was wearing like a white coat that not Baptist, he's not getting baptized at death, preacher guy burying a guy. Oh, I don't even know. These rumors are muddling with my brain.
I think it's a good rumor.
It was enough of a rumor that there was like an article in Life magazine where it's like Paul is alive and well, like an interview at the farm. It was enough of a rumor that they like took notice of it, serious notice of it. Oh man. I mean, these conspiracy theories, I think, are one of why does so many artists have piano ballads at the end. That's more of a conspiracy theory to me than these. I'm being serious. Don't you think? Like, there must be some like hidden element that people think this is a really great way to end an album, like an unwritten rule.
For that one, I think it's just like someone did it, sounded cool, and then everyone latched onto it. Like what happens with a lot of popular music. Don't think it's really a conspiracy theory, but I think it's just something that happens because it's a decent way. Like the closer should be like a conclusion. It should be soft and solemn, and I think that's the easy way to do it. It's an easy shortcut.
Even then, it's still better than these. It has an actual basis to it. There's a reason for it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of believe the Kris Kristofferson's a reptile. I can see it.
Oh, God. I just don't see them. What people have too much time on their hands, listen to albums backwards, and
they do it with Led Zeppelin's album too, right? It's like all about, was it Stairway to Heaven? They play backwards.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually they stopped becoming a big thing in the late 70s when people realised there's so much music out there they don't have time to play albums backwards. It was just a thing people did when they were bored, probably when they like got bored of albums. Oh man. So yeah, those are 10 great musical conspiracies. Oh God.
If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe. Let us know about any other musical conspiracy theories we missed in the comments below, and check us out on social media.
Tell us your favorite ones.